How you doing, YouTube? Matt with Massive Beer Reviews. Back to yet another review. A little bit of collab action, actually. A little bit of Barrier, other half Interboro, and Carton collab. Hopeful goodness in the form of their Raise IPA. It's part of their LTA series. This is their Carton's kind of just collab. Hopeful goodness kind of thingamabob. Whatchamacalls it. No, yeah, they started doing these collabs, calling it part of that kind of LTA series, which I believe in French means workshop. So it kind of makes sense. And honestly, there's 4 breweries that are pretty damn good. Barrier is awesome. The other half, we all know about them. Interboro is absolutely fantastic. And, Carton, I love Carton. I love what they do. They do interesting. And interesting is good. So, yeah, let's dive into it. What else does it have on here? Raise, India Pale Ale, LTA, and collab with, like I said, Barrier, other half, Carton, and Interboro, and that'd be that. Label-wise, quintessential Carton. They have like a little bit of kind of a poker table thing going on there, and you got all the 4 main brewers kind of sitting around a bunch of chips. And Carton Sing is their chips. They're not exactly very close to AC. But if you go to their draft house or their tap room or whatever you want to call it, your chips they give you for your samples, or your pours or whatever, are kind of like poker chips. So yeah, give her a pour, see what she's got. Pinky finger, kind of like a slightly off-colored, kind of khaki-colored head, infinite creaminess, pretty uniform bubbles, and she's got a soft taste to her, nothing too crazy. Very Carton-esque kind of haze, let's put it that way. It's kind of like old school kind of haze, that rich kind of deep orange, but something that you can see through but can't get all the way through, semi-opaqueness, if you will. So, does she look like an IPA? Sure. What does she smell like? Very kind of old school, new school, kind of New England style IPA. That's kind of where she comes off for me, and that she smells kind of like your like Hetty had a baby with Sip Sunshine kind of vibe going on in there. Because you're getting these kind of candied fruits that don't come off super sweet. Candied fruits with a nice soft bitterness kind of floating around in the background. Powdered, almost like a powdered bitterness. Like as far as like the way greenness and the way bitterness can come off, sometimes it's sharp, sometimes it's muddy, sometimes it's danky, sometimes it's rich. There's more of like a powdery kind of vibe to it. And then that's pretty much it. I wouldn't say it's overly sweet. I wouldn't say it's overly bittering. It's floating somewhere in the middle distance. Let's dive in. Cheers. Bitter. In a good way. Yeah, you get this nice kind of slightly piney, slightly kind of danky, kind of somewhere. I feel like pine and weed danky and like tomato stock y'all had a baby. Kind of floating around in there. And you're getting this kind of tropical fruit kind of candiness in the background that's like not even like super in your face. It's just kind of like rich and all encompassing. There's a nice dryness to it too. Makes you want to go back for a couple extra sips. Yeah, there's a soft bitterness to it. Super drinkable, super chuggable. It's pretty tasty stuff. It's definitely Carton influenced. This is like Carton to me, with other people saying, okay, let's do a little bit to this, a little bit to that, a little bit to this, a little bit to that, to what Carton does, as opposed to a true kind of collaboration. It's not like I'm tasting bits and pieces of 4 breweries. It'd be kind of hard to pull that off, to be perfectly honest with you. But it's definitely kind of like an old school kind of brewing mentality that's kind of been drugged and yanked and twisted into a little bit of kind of a new school in a good way. I'm not viewing it as a negative. It's tasty, it's nice, it's chuggable. I could drink like a bunch of these. Well, at the same time, it's not a sessionable beer. It's bittering enough. It's sweet enough to where I think over time you definitely want to move on to something else. But at the same time, it's tasty enough to where you want to chug a bunch of them. It's like the I don't know. It's like the antidote to the hot fodiness. in a weird way because it's hop driven, but these are the beers that I think like come out and people see barriers. They see other half, even Interboro to a point, and they say, okay, I expect this, and they don't get that, and they get very angry. It's a tasty beer. It's well done, showcasing the hops, showcasing a bit of sweetness in there, at the same time being bittering enough to where it's definitely kind of making it drinkable. There's a bit of balance in there. Well, at the same time, I think it's giving you enough of that kind of new school, kind of juicy, kind of fruitiness, while at the same time giving you a bunch of that old school kind of bitterness. I've said it like 4 different ways now, so I'll just shut up and just say I dig it, I like it. Is it one of my favorite IPAs that I've had as of late? No. I do like that kind of stuff that goes along with a little bit more of the Hazelbroy hop toddy stuff. But is it one of the more funner, one of the more interesting ones? Yes. And that's kind of like the Carton MO, at least for me, is to take styles and then make them a bit more interesting outside of just your hops and sweetness done kind of thing going on. So yeah, value and availability, don't know, it was given to me by Massive Troll Reviews. George, thank you very much, brother. And leave you with, if you like what we like this. If you like new school beers, but you like old school beers and you wish there was something in between. There's a lot in between that. But it gives you that. It gives you those kind of showcasing those new school hops and the way you can apply it into a beer, but at the same time giving you, and when I say old school, I'm pretty much saying a hefty dose of bitterness to the point where you're kind of, dare I say, have a little bit of balance in a very unbalanced beer world. So there you go. Another review in the books down there if you want to talk about it. Massive Beers, type that into Google if you want to see me doing social media stuff. Beer Massive into Google if you want to see me doing the podcasting stuff. And hopefully, guys, enjoyed the review. Hopefully, enjoying a nice collab beer right now. And hopefully, see you next time. Cheers.